just don't feel safe marrying someone like you anymore. I didn't know a life could split cleanly in two until the moment Andrew said my name like it was an accusation. Pay. Not baby, not love, not the way he said it when he slipped the engagement ring onto my finger 8 months earlier, hands trembling, voice cracking, eyes wet like he was afraid I'd disappear if he blinked. Just my name, flat, cold, final. We were standing in the kitchen of the apartment we'd picked together, the one with the stupid exposed brick wall he loved and the tiny balcony I never used. Sunlight was pouring in like nothing bad was allowed to happen in its presence. The wedding invitations were stacked neatly on the counter, still smelling like fresh ink, ivory cardstock, gold lettering. Paige and Andrew, forever. I remember thinking, absurdly, that the font choice suddenly looked arrogant. Andrew wouldn't look at me. I can't do this, he said. I laughed, not because it was funny, because my brain refused to accept the sentence as real. Like if I treated it as a joke, it would retreat. Do what? I asked. He exhaled, long and rehearsed, like he'd been practicing this in the mirror. The wedding, the marriage, us. The air changed. It actually changed. Heavy, suffocating, like something invisible pressed against my chest. What are you talking about? I whispered. He finally looked up. And in his eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Not fear of losing me, fear of me. I've been thinking, he said, folding his arms like a shield, and I don't think we're compatible anymore. Compatible. 8 years together, 3 apartments, 2 miscarriages we never talked about, 1 ring, 1 wedding date. Reduced to compatible. I took a step closer. Andrew, this isn't funny. I'm serious. My stomach dropped. Did something happen? Did I do something? He hesitated. And then he said the sentence that detonated my life. I just don't feel safe marrying someone like you anymore. Someone like me. The words echoed in my head, bouncing violently, looking for meaning. Someone like me, I repeated. He nodded, jaw tight. You've changed. I searched his face desperately. Changed how? You're intense now, he said. Secretive, always working late, always tired. I don't even know what you do half the time. I stared at him. You helped me apply for that job, I reminded him. You told me to go for it. That was before, he snapped, then immediately softened like he'd revealed too much. Before things started feeling off. Off? I felt like I was sinking into quicksand. What aren't you telling me? I asked. He looked away again. That's when I knew. There was another version of this story, and I wasn't in control of it. Andrew moved fast after that. Too fast. He didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't apologize. He simply started separating. My things are already packed, he said casually, like we were discussing groceries. My heart slammed against my ribs. Already. I stayed at my brother's last night. Last night. While I was at work. While I sent him a text that said, can't wait to come home to you. I felt stupid, exposed, like everyone knew something I didn't. So that's it, I asked. You're just done. He nodded. I wanted to scream, to beg, to grab him and shake the truth out of him. Instead, I asked the question that still haunts me. Is there someone else? He flinched. Just enough. No, he said too quickly. This isn't about that. That's when anger finally burned through the shock. Then what is it about? I demanded. He paused, choosing his words carefully. And that's when he delivered the second blow. There are things I've heard about you, Paige. My blood went cold. Heard from who? He didn't answer. Andrew, I said sharply. From who? His voice dropped. People at your company. I laughed again, harsher this time. That's impossible, I don't even. You don't think I've noticed the security protocols? He interrupted. The non-disclosure agreements, the way you dodge questions about your work. My mouth went dry. That doesn't mean anything. It means everything, he snapped. I don't want to wake up one day and realize I married someone I don't recognize. There it was. The accusation without evidence, the judgment without trial. So you're calling off our wedding, I said slowly, based on rumors. He didn't deny it. I need to protect myself, he said. Protect himself. From me. I felt something crack inside my chest, clean, sharp, irreversible. Andrew left that afternoon. He didn't hug me goodbye. Didn't even look back. I stood alone in the kitchen long after the door closed, staring at the invitations like they were mocking me. By evening, the phone started ringing. My mother, my maid of honor, the caterer, my aunt who had already bought her dress. Andrew had told people. Not together, not mutual. He told them he called it off. And somehow, the story twisted. I was too focused on my career, emotionally distant, not the woman he fell in love with. No one asked me what happened. They just assumed. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Every memory replayed differently now. Every argument reinterpreted. Every silence suspicious. And under it all, one question screamed. What did Andrew think I was hiding? The email arrived on a Thursday morning. No subject line. Just a black envelope icon and a sender address I didn't recognize. For a moment, I almost deleted it. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Paige Carter, a man said calmly. This is Director Hayes. Please confirm you're alone. My heart stopped. Yes, I whispered. Good, he said. You've been approved. Approved for what? Before I could ask, he continued. You are scheduled for onboarding at 10:00 a.m. tomorrow. Transportation and security will be provided. Security? I think there's been a mistake, I said. There hasn't, he replied. Do not discuss this invitation with anyone, not friends, not family, not former partners. Former partners. My hands started shaking. 2 escorts will arrive at your residence at 9:15 a.m. Please have identification ready. Escorts. This level of precaution is standard, he added, like he was discussing the weather. Given your profile. My profile. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, pulse roaring in my ears. Then I opened the email. One sentence. Welcome to the inner circle. No signature. No explanation. Just a digital seal embossed with a symbol I'd only ever seen once before. On Andrew's laptop. The night he slammed it shut and said, You shouldn't be looking at that. The next morning, as I stood by my window, watching 2 black SUVs pull up outside my building, one thought cut through the panic like glass. Andrew didn't leave because he was afraid of who I'd become. He left because he was afraid of what I was about to be. And somehow, without me saying a word, he already knew. The escorts didn't speak as they walked me into the building. That should have comforted me, professional silence, neutral expressions, military posture. Instead, it made my skin crawl. Because silence is never empty, it's loaded. The building itself didn't exist on any map I'd ever seen. No signage, no logos, just mirrored glass rising out of concrete like it didn't want to be noticed. The kind of place you could drive past 100 times and never realize it mattered. But the moment I stepped inside, everything shifted. Biometric scanners, armed personnel, hallways that curved just enough to disorient you. The air smelled sterile, filtered. Paige Carter, the receptionist said without looking up, Welcome. She handed me a badge. No title, no department, just my name and a clearance stripe so dark it was almost black. That's when I understood something chilling. Andrew hadn't been guessing, he had been confirming. They gave me a private office on the 27th floor. Floor-to-ceiling glass, no visible door handle, a desk that lit up when I sat down, recognizing my fingerprints like it had been waiting for me specifically. Director Hayes arrived 10 minutes later. He was older than I expected. Gray hair, calm eyes, the kind of man who didn't raise his voice because he never needed to. "You were engaged," he said, sitting across from me. Not a question. "Yes." "You aren't anymore." "No." He nodded once, like that closed a loop. "Good," he said. "This job doesn't tolerate divided loyalties." The words hit harder than they should have. He slid a tablet across the desk. "Before we proceed," he continued, "there's something you need to know." The screen lit up. And there it was. My work. My models, my projections, my proprietary frameworks. But they weren't under my name. They were filed under Andrew Collins. My chest tightened. "That's not possible," I said. "He doesn't even understand." "He understands enough," Hayes interrupted. "Enough to sell pieces of it, enough to shop it around quietly." "Sell it?" I felt dizzy. "How?" Hayes folded his hands. "You logged into your home workstation regularly," he said. "You trusted the shared network." "Andrew." The late nights, the "I'll make you tea" interruptions, the way he always knew when I was close to a breakthrough. "He accessed your drafts," Hayes continued. "Copied iterations, screenshots, voice notes." I felt sick. "He's been in contact with external parties for months," Hayes said calmly. "We flagged the activity." Months. That meant. "He proposed to me after he started stealing," I whispered. Hayes didn't contradict me. That was worse. I stood up so suddenly, my chair slid back. "So this is why he left," I said, "because he thought I'd been exposed." "Correct," Hayes replied. "He believed we'd trace the breach to him." "Did you?" Hayes smiled slightly. "We wanted to see how far he'd go." My hands clenched. "So he panicked," I said, "called off the wedding, painted me as the villain." "Yes." I laughed bitterly. "He said he didn't feel safe marrying me." Hayes tilted his head. "Did he use those exact words?" "Yes." "Interesting," he murmured. "That phrase has appeared before." Something in his tone made my blood run cold. "You're saying I'm not the first." "No," Hayes said. "You're just the one who didn't collapse." Andrew texted me that night. "We need to talk." My heart slammed painfully, but not with hope. With rage. I didn't respond. He called. I let it ring. Then another text. "Please, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Misunderstanding. The audacity of that word nearly took my breath away. Finally, I answered. "What do you want?" I said. His voice sounded strained. "Paige," he said softly, "I didn't expect things to go this far." I closed my eyes. "You called off our wedding," I said. "You told people I wasn't safe." "I was trying to protect us," he insisted. "From what?" I snapped. "Me." There was a pause. Then he said it. The sentence that rewrote everything. I only took what was already mine. I felt something inside me go utterly still. "Explain," I said. "You wouldn't even be where you are without me," he said defensively. "I supported you, encouraged you, gave you space." "So you stole my work," I said flatly. "I refined it," he corrected, "positioned it." My hands shook with fury. "You betrayed me." "No," he said quickly. "I leveraged a partnership." Partnership. The same word he'd used to describe our marriage during his proposal speech. "I loved you," I whispered. "I still do," he said, "which is why we need to fix this." Fix this. As if betrayal were a scheduling error. "What exactly are you afraid of right now, Andrew?" I asked quietly. He hesitated. Then his voice dropped. "People are watching me." Bingo. After the call, I sat in the dark of my new apartment, the one Hayes insisted on relocating me to overnight. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I listened. Listened to the hum of security systems embedded in the walls, the subtle click of cameras adjusting, the silence of protection. Andrew thought he was ahead of me. He thought calling off the wedding cut him free. He had no idea he'd just removed the only thing shielding him. Because love makes you quiet, love makes you forgiving, love makes you hesitate. And Andrew had taken that from me. The next morning, Hayes returned. "He contacted you," he said. "Yes." "What did he say?" I met Hayes's eyes. "That he took what was his." Hayes nodded slowly. "Then we proceed," he said. "Proceed with what?" He smiled, not kindly. "With letting him believe that." Before he left, Hayes turned back. "One more thing," he said. "Whatever happens next, do not warn him." "I won't," I replied. He studied me carefully. "Good," he said, "because when this ends, he won't be angry." "Then what will he be?" Hayes paused at the door. "He'll be terrified." The first time I saw my name on the wall, I understood why Andrew panicked. It wasn't a plaque, it wasn't an award. It was a risk assessment matrix. Floor 32, restricted access even for most employees. No windows, just matte black walls lined with embedded screens, each one pulsing with live data. Faces, numbers, locations, assets. Threats. And right there, in calm white letters, was me. Carter, PAIG, Class IV Strategic. I felt my throat tighten. "That classification," I said carefully, "wasn't on my contract." Director Hayes stood beside me, hands clasped behind his back. "No," he said, "because once you see it, you can't unsee it." The screen shifted. My work appeared again, but now I finally saw it for what it truly was. Not models, not projections. Leverage maps. Systems designed to predict human behavior under pressure, to identify fractures before they became faults, to isolate the precise emotional, financial, and psychological pressure point that would make someone fold. I staggered back slightly. "You told me this was optimization," I said. "It is," Hayes replied, "just not for companies." My pulse roared in my ears. "Then for who?" Hayes didn't answer. He didn't need to. I had been recruited 3 years earlier. Quietly, carefully. They never said why my research mattered, only that it was high impact, that it required discretion, that the compensation reflected the risk. I thought I was building systems. In reality, I was building keys. Keys that unlocked people. People like Andrew. "You were chosen," Hayes said, "because you don't see humans as chaotic." "I see patterns," I whispered. "Exactly." The screen zoomed in. Andrew's face appeared. I sucked in a breath. Lines of data bloomed around him. Debt exposure, ego sensitivity, risk tolerance, attachment instability. I felt sick. "You ran him," I said. "We ran everyone in proximity to you," Hayes replied calmly. "Standard procedure." I clenched my fists. "You knew he'd betray me." "No," Hayes corrected. "We knew he could." The difference landed like a punch. "Then why the security?" I asked. Hayes's expression hardened. "Because once Andrew realized what you were connected to," he said, "he became unpredictable." The screen shifted again. A timeline appeared. Andrew's communications. Encrypted emails, burner phones, foreign accounts. My stomach twisted. "He didn't just steal from me," I said. "No," Hayes replied. "He attempted to monetize access." Access to me. To my work. To the systems I helped build without fully understanding their reach. "He told people I wasn't safe," I murmured. Hayes nodded. "Projection." I laughed weakly. "So I lost my wedding because my fiancé tried to sell me like a product." Hayes didn't smile. "You lost your wedding," he said, "because the moment he proposed, you became his insurance." That one hurt the most. Andrew didn't know how close he was to the edge, which made him sloppy. 2 days after our last call, he emailed me. Not a text, an email. Formal, Calculated. Paige, I've been advised that certain materials in my possession may be sensitive. I'm willing to return them in exchange for a conversation. Conversation. I forwarded it to Hayes. He read it once. Then he looked at me. Do you want closure, he asked, or do you want control? I didn't hesitate. Control. He nodded. Then you'll meet him. My stomach dropped. You said. We said don't warn him, Hayes interrupted, not don't confront him. The distinction was chilling. Andrew chose the place. Of course he did. Our favorite cafe. The one where he first told me he loved me. The one where he used to trace circles on my wrist while we waited for our drinks. I arrived first. 2 agents sat separately, pretending to be customers, pretending badly. Andrew walked in 10 minutes late. He looked smaller, thinner, edgier. When he saw me, relief flashed across his face. That hurt more than anger ever could. Paige, he said, sitting down quickly. Thank you for coming. I didn't smile. Say what you came to say. He swallowed. I think we both know things got out of hand, he began, but we can still fix this. I stared at him. You left me, I said. You humiliated me, you stole my work. I protected us, he insisted. You were getting dangerous. There it was again. Dangerous. What exactly do you think I do? I asked softly. He leaned in. I think you don't even know, he whispered. A chill ran through me. Then why steal it? His jaw tightened. Because people would pay anything for what's in your head. I held his gaze. Who? He hesitated. Then named a company I'd never heard of. But Hayes had. I saw the color drain from the agent's face behind him. Andrew kept talking, unaware. They offered protection, he said. Money, new identity if things went bad. Protection. From me. I leaned back slowly. Andrew, I said quietly, do you remember the night you told me not to look at your laptop? His eyes flickered. That was the night, I continued. I realized you were afraid. I wasn't afraid, he snapped. I tilted my head. Then why are your hands shaking now? He looked down. They were. You don't understand what you've involved yourself in, he hissed. These people don't play fair. I smiled for the first time. Neither do we. Out loud, I said, you're right. He relaxed slightly. I just need you to cooperate, he said. Say the work was collaborative, that I had access. I leaned forward. And if I do? His eyes hardened. Then I release everything. I studied him. This man who once cried when I lost my grandmother. This man who promised me forever. You already did, I said. He frowned. What? I stood. Goodbye, Andrew. I walked out. He didn't follow. He was too busy checking his phone. Too busy realizing. It wasn't working. That night, Hayes called me. He tried to access his backups, he said. They're gone. Gone where? Contained, Hayes replied, along with his accounts. I closed my eyes. So he has nothing. No, Hayes said. He has one thing left. What? The truth, Hayes said, and no one willing to believe it. Before hanging up, Hayes added one last thing. You asked why the Escorts knew your name, he said. Yes. Because, he replied, you don't just analyze pressure points anymore. My pulse quickened. You are one. Andrew didn't disappear all at once. That would have been merciful. Instead, he unraveled publicly, piece by piece, like a man screaming inside a soundproof room. It started with his job. 3 days after our cafe meeting, his LinkedIn vanished. His company email bounced back. The startup he'd been bragging about online quietly removed his name from their advisory board. No announcement, no explanation. Just absence. People noticed. They always do. He called me at 2:14 a.m. I didn't answer. At 2:17 a.m., he left a voicemail. His voice was shaking. Paige, please, I don't know what's happening. My accounts are frozen. Someone wiped my drives. I can't even log into my cloud. I listened without expression. He called again. This time I answered. What do you want, Andrew? I asked calmly. You did this, he said hoarsely. I almost laughed. You think I have that kind of power? I asked. Yes, he snapped. I think you lied to me. I think you've been lying for years. I leaned back against the wall of my apartment, the one with reinforced doors and bulletproof glass he would never be allowed to enter. I never lied, I said. I just didn't explain. Silence. Then softer. What are you? That question used to belong in science fiction. Now it sounded like fear. I'm the woman you underestimated, I replied. Andrew tried to go public. That was his last mistake. He emailed journalists, posted cryptic threads, claimed he was being silenced, that his ex-fiancé was connected to dangerous entities. He sounded unhinged. Because the truth, without context, always does. And context is a luxury. No one gives a man already labeled unstable. Old colleagues distanced themselves. Friends stopped answering. Even his brother blocked him. The same people who believed him when he painted me as cold suddenly didn't want to be associated with him. Funny how that works. They let me see him one last time. Not for closure. For confirmation. He sat across from me in a small gray room. No cuffs, no uniformed guards, just a man who finally understood the cost of arrogance. He looked terrible. You ruined my life, he whispered. I studied him. No, I said quietly, you gambled it. His eyes filled with tears. I loved you, he said. I believed him. That's what made it worse. You loved what I could give you, I replied. Access, stability, safety. He flinched. I was scared, he admitted. I thought if I didn't control it, it would swallow me. I leaned forward. And instead, I said softly, you tried to sell it. He swallowed hard. Was any of it real? He asked. Us. I paused. That question deserved honesty. Yes, I said, until it was. As I stood to leave, he said something that stopped me cold. You know, he said bitterly, they told me you break. I turned slowly. Who told you that? He laughed weakly. The people who approached me first, he said. They said you were brilliant but fragile. That pressure would destroy you. My chest tightened. They said, he continued, voice cracking. You were never supposed to survive this. I smiled then. Not cruelly. Certainly not kindly. They were wrong, I said. As I walked out, Director Hayes was waiting. It's done, he said. Yes, I replied. He studied me for a long moment. You realize, he said, that Andrew wasn't the target. I stopped. What do you mean? Hayes's eyes were calm, calculating. He was the test, he said, a variable. My stomach dropped. You were watching me, I said. Yes, Hayes replied. We needed to know what you do when personally compromised. And, I asked. He smiled. You passed. I felt something shift, heavy and final. So the wedding, I whispered, the betrayal. All necessary, he said. I closed my eyes. Then opened them. What happens now? I asked. Hayes gestured toward the elevator. Now, he said, you stop reacting. The doors slid open. You start deciding. I never heard from Andrew again. No calls, no messages, no closure. Just silence. And strangely, peace. Because some endings don't come with apologies. They come with clarity. And as the elevator descended, one thought settled deep in my chest, unshakable and true. He didn't leave me because I was dangerous. He left because he realized, too late, that I was unstoppable.